again. Kumbaya, my love. Kumbaya, my love. Kumbaya, my love. Kumbaya, my love. Come by here, my lord. Stay near. Kumbaya, my lord. Speak to my soul. Kumbaya, my lord. Oh, in the revelation, you make me whole. Kumbaya, my lord. 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 Kumbaya, my love. Kumbaya, my lord. Kumbaya, my lord, my lord. Kumbaya, my lord. Kumbaya, my lord.
Kumbaya, my Lord. That's the Revelation by Keith J. and Amari Michelle. Hey, welcome everyone. This is Studio W, the Buzz, your global radio network, and it's Tuesday. And you know that means it's time for Groove Swing Speaks live right here on the Buzz. We're on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. You can also download that app for your daily listening pleasure. I just go to your Apple App Store and download Studio W. Android, go to your Google Play Store and download Studio W. Always available on the website. That's studiow.buzz, studiow.buzz, also on Alexa. Okay. Hey, guys, thank you so much. And thank you for tuning in. I see my panelists there. I'm getting some feedback here. Okay. Turn off all external speakers, please. If you have any external speakers, turn them off. All right. Okay, let's do this. And welcome to the set, Fellowman, Darren and Napier. Now, we're going to tell you a lot about this gentleman. He's going to chime in and tell us a lot about himself. But I want to give him a proper introduction. And so we're going to let Fellowman Robert Hicks do that. Robert, if you will.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone. Good evening. It's evening for being here on Groove Swing Speaks. Let me just check my audio. It probably might have been a double play at the moment, but any feedback? But what I'll do right now is I'll make sure I introduce our guest here and give him a proper introduction. So tonight I have the honor to present to you, the studio audience, on episode 130 of Groove Swing Speaks, Fellowman Darren Napier. He is a proud member of our illustrious Groove by Groove Social Fellowship Incorporated. He is an entrepreneur and community builder from the city of Detroit, Motor City. Darren has earned his bachelor's degree in social work at the University of Detroit and Mercy, and has built a career that spans event management and staffing, transportation, landscape, entertainment, and workforce development. Over the years, he has recruited, managed, and transported teams for major sporting events, concerts, festivals, and venues across the country. Well, one thing about Darren Fellowman Napier is he is passionate about leadership, mentorship, and economic empowerment. Darren is committed to connecting people with opportunities and creating programs that strengthen community, as he will explain more in detail. Through his professional work and organizational involvement, he continues to focus on building relationships, supporting entrepreneurship, and helping others maximize their potential. It is my honor to introduce to you the Groove Swing Speaks family, Fellowman Darren Napier.
Hey, how you doing?
Welcome to the set, brother. Welcome to the set. Okay, we were getting a little feedback. Okay, Tiffany, it stopped. Okay, we were getting a little feedback. I'm not hearing anything now. So hopefully we won't have any interruptions. So, hey guys, thank you so much. And Darren, thank you so much for tuning in. You and I share a few things in common. Number one, you're a Groove, proud member of the Groove 5 Groove Social Fellowship. And also, we share a birthday, March 8th. Man.
Yes.
So I said, hey, this guy, he must be sharp. He's got to be sharp. But we had an offline, well, off radio station conversation, and you're doing a lot of things. You got your bachelor's degree for social work, and now you've evolved into doing something else right now. Now you got your bachelor's degree from is that the University of Detroit?
Yes. University of Detroit Mercy.
Okay. And why did you go into social to go into that field, into social work?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud.
Okay. Well, when it comes to social work, I just understood that I had a passion for helping others. And when I got a chance to kind of evaluate my career field and where I wanted to go, it got narrowed down to social work. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but is it a feedback on your behalf?
I'm not getting any.
I'm echoing.
How would you, Tiffany?
Yes, it's an echo.
Okay, Robert?
I'm trying to think of this end here. No echo from my end, it appears.
No echo on my end either. And like I said, if you have your phones turned up, turn the speakers off. Turn your speakers off. The system has an internal speaker rather. So turn your speakers off so we don't get any feedback, because Darren has an interesting story. And so I wanted to start off with his work in doing social work rather. And so that kind of changed right after COVID. But let's go back a little bit, Darren. Now, did you grow up in Detroit?
Yes, so I was born and raised in Detroit. I went to school, got my education in Detroit.
Okay.
And just like I say, as far as the social work, I always wanted to help people. So, social work kind of gave me that foundation to understand people, build relationships, solve problems.
Okay. Now, when we start talking about social work, now, was your focus on community? Was it child development? Or exactly what was that all about?
Well, it kind of stretched over all different areas, but mainly it was working with youth that may have had behavioral challenges. Working with older adults, substance abuse, and just really the basis of it was being able to provide resources to help better their lives.
All right. Okay. Question, Darren, do you have any external speakers on?
I do not. I only have the one.
Okay. All right. Now, how about microphone? Now, do you have your microphone on your phone, or because, like I said, the system has a built-in microphone and built-in speakers, so that's not necessary. So we're trying to park, because I'm not hearing any feedback at all. Okay. Tiffany, I hate doing this. And Robert, are you guys hearing anything at all right now? Any feedback?
I am hearing a little bit. I was hearing a little bit of feedback from before, but still can hear you. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to continue. So anyway, Darren, like I said, after we had our conversation, it evolved into something else, because tell us what happened. And this involves your barber, because after COVID, you changed directions.
Okay. So so before COVID, I pretty much was working in my field. And so that had to do with working with the youth, behavioral youth, and working with the older adults with the substance abuse. But just like everybody knows, during COVID, that kind of changed a lot for a lot of people. And, in the facilities that I was associated with and working in, not having, access to fresh air or, sunlight. And so I kind of got away from that environment for a little bit. And one of my close friends is actually my barber as well. He had been telling me about this industry for a few years. And he's been in it for about 5 years prior to me joining. And I just decided to check it out one day. And I got involved in it, and I saw all the possibilities that could come with it. So, and I just been doing it ever since. And I've been kind of leveling up in different areas and just progressing as it go and bringing others along with me.
Okay. And there's something else fascinating about it too, because with your, now, we talked about how you have, with your new business. And like you said, I think you started like 5 years ago. Was it 5 years ago?
Yeah, about 5 years ago.
Okay. And you're in event management and staffing and transportation. And also, you told me that you go over pretty much over the country with different sporting events, whether it's a sporting event or it's a concert event. So tell us a little bit about that, because you get a chance to go a lot of places, see a lot of things, and meet a lot of people. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so with our line of work, it's pretty much having to do with everything entertainment. So from live concert venues, professional sporting stadiums, college venues, and we're pretty much the people behind the scenes that's doing a lot of the work. And so from that, it provides us an opportunity to not just have work locally, but also all over the country. And so anywhere that there's a big festival, live concert going on, professional sports, whether it's NBA, NFL, MLB, we provide staffing and support.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty cool, man, because in Detroit, let's see, you got the Pistons, you have I think the Red Wings, that's a hockey team there, Red Wings, and you also have the Detroit Lions.
Detroit
You get a chance
Lions.
to go to these different events, right?
Yeah. And so that was one of the things that kind of attracted me to it, because I'm, have a big love for sports and music. And so I remember when I first got introduced to it, I was in the process of getting some season tickets to the Lions, and they were all sold out. So, I remember my partner telling me about these events, and I was like, you know what, let me try it out. Get in the game and get a chance to see it. And just like I say, from that first event, it just kind of changed things for me, and I've been kind of in that realm since.
Okay, great, great. I'm gonna toss it over to Robert right now. Robert?
Absolutely. Thank you. So basically, Darren, one of the things that you talk about is in your program, and basically the idea of strengthening communities. Perhaps there's somebody out there who is interested in learning a little bit more about your programs. Say, for instance, what areas are you strengthening the communities? Maybe in what sections, or if you have specific programs to let the audience know.
Well, I would say overall, and I like to title it as like community builder. Can you guys hear me? It said that my mic was muted. I'm okay. Okay. And just like I say, pretty much it's about connecting people to opportunities, building relationships, and providing resources. So we provide opportunities for a good majority of people in the community. So anybody that's in need of, work, and whether it be individually, whether they're trying to raise money for specific, organization, whatever the case may be, we're able to provide that.
Wonderful. No, that's excellent, because the idea of having ways to be able to fundraise helps out in the community as a whole, as well as making sure that everybody has the opportunity to make sure that they get whatever services that they need. Also, I would like to ask, that now with your programs, I would say with your programs itself, how far reaching are they? Are they in the city of Detroit or any outlying areas, or how large of an expansion are you looking for?
Well, naturally, we do have things locally, but we also have contracts with different management companies all throughout the country. So pretty much any major city, state that you could think of, we travel a lot to different spots in Indianapolis or in Indiana, such as Indianapolis. We have multiple different um, places in Ohio, whether it be Cincinnati, Cleveland, Columbus. We do a lot of stuff in Chicago, LA, Vegas, Phoenix. Just like I say, everywhere that you could think of, down south, East Coast, is really no limit. Because everywhere needs some kind of support or staffing. So there's constant work. And so like right now, we've been putting together this workforce development where we're not only just providing jobs for people, but we're also training them and just trying to help them maximize their full potential. So we also do a lot of mentoring. Yeah, just I say it's a whole scope. It's not just one specific thing. It's not just getting a job and going to work. We try to take care of the person as a whole.
Wonderful. And I would say when you were mentioning about workforce development, especially when people need assistance where it comes down to not just finding work, but also maybe getting them on the right path to prevent eventually take their work and then move it into some of a career, or say, for instance, they're moving into being their own boss. And also mentoring is definitely key as well. A lot of kids in communities that we serve, they just want to know that somebody cares, and they want to see that somebody's helping them along the way to their dreams and goals. So we appreciate that very much, Darren. Thank you.
Yeah, and just like one of the things that some of the workers had, or has stated that they had trouble with, really was transportation, and that was one of the reasons that we got off into transportation as well, because you have a city like Detroit, which is, I want to say, maybe 45 minutes to an hour from the University of Michigan. And so if we're able to provide jobs, you don't have a lot of people that are, have transportation to get to those jobs. And so, now we started the transportation, and we're able to make sure that people that can't get to the jobs get to the jobs. And so we've been seeing a dramatic shift after that. And the numbers have increased as far as people that are interested, and there's just been a lot of good stories behind it, and people just able to pay their rent and do things that they weren't able to do beforehand. So
Fantastic. Thank you.
I guess it's on
Uh,
me. So I just want to say, first off, it's been a long time since I've talked to you. It's been, oh my gosh, I felt like over a decade. But it's good to see you though.
good to see you. How are
Um,
you?
I'm good, thank you. I guess one of my first questions would be, and you may have already answered this, but it's kind of hard to hear. What drew you to this like field anyway? You know what I'm saying? Was it something that you personally experienced, growing up, as far as like, having issues getting around and stuff, or as far as like social development and working in the community, like was it something that you personally experienced?
Personally experienced. I mean, I grew up in Detroit. So I mean, I had a pretty, decent upbringing. But I was aware of a lot of the different challenges that, the community faced. I knew about, certain services and resources um, that people could attain. And so that was actually, one of the reasons when I finally decided to go into social work, just having an understanding that, I do have some knowledge of these things, and and understanding how these resources could change a person's life. And so that's really been my my main um, objective, is really just being able to be a source to provide certain resources. And I consider myself a community builder. a bridge builder, and being able to um, connect those dots. Because I've had people that have done that for me, and I know how that could play a major role. And so being able to do that for others is very satisfying.
How how are the disparities in the Detroit area? Like as far as now with everything that we have developed now as far as like technology and stuff, would you say that things have gotten better over the years or are they still about the same? What's your take
I
on that?
mean, I guess it's about the same. I mean, everywhere, we're considered the motor city. So, as far as
Mhm.
transportation, we have a lot of public transportation. People have vehicles as well. We got highways to get us from, point A to point B. But there's a lot of people who are not or don't have the advantages that others may have, such as having a car or having a license or
Mhm.
um, being able to get from the inner city to, particularly the outskirts or the suburbs or where the potential, you know, jobs may be. And so, in order to not be limited, you have to be able to consistently level up. And so that's just, what we're really about, leveling up, building together. It's a space where we're not competing, we're trying to pull people up and help them.
And are you connected to let's say like your how do you say like your city as far as like working with your city? Are you connected to what we have recreational centers as well? Do you work with those departments also?
Well, me personally, I kind of partner with a lot of different community partners that I already have, and I'm always looking for more. But I take notice of who's doing what, who's doing the type of work that I believe can benefit our community, and reaching out to them and letting them know when opportunities are available. And it comes from them, possibly sending people to the opportunity. It's came from resourcing out to family and friends, close friends. We kind of pull from every angle. We just kind of keep our ear to the streets and try to be um, just aware of what's going on and who needs the help, and being able to just like I say, connect them with the opportunity.
Awesome. That's what's up. I like that, you guys have like partnerships going on. Sounds like you have some really strong foundations and people that you all can pull together and work with. If somebody was watching this, I heard you say something earlier about, that you guys were hiring and stuff. What positions would you say are available with you and your team?
Pretty much the possibilities are endless. I mean, the majority of the work comes from, the actual labor portion of it. So whether it's distributing, or whether it's room staff, or whether it's just like I say, transportation now, that's an avenue that we just branched off into. There's a vast amount of opportunities available. It just really about creating the connection and understanding what people are needing. So,
Mm.
like I reached out I had someone reach out to me recently. I didn't even know that they were transportation riders. They provide transportation on a regular. These were people that were working through the network. And, so now that we started the actual transportation service, now we already have people within our own network that are able to, if they're not wanting to do the labor in part, if they wanted to be drivers, we have room for drivers, we have room for workers, we have room for, providing staff, extra assistants, manager positions. There's really, it's no limit to it. It's just really, the opportunities are there. It's just whatever people would like.
Okay, cool. All right, I appreciate it. Thank you.
So wanted to be sure that that basically that you have the opportunity to get a chance to dig a little bit more detail about your background. But I just want to ask maybe somewhat of a side question. Um, Now, as I mentioned from the top, that you remember Group 5 Groups of Fellowship Incorporated. How did you learn to get into group, or how did you hear about it? Um, to expound a little bit more.
When I first got introduced to Groove,
That's right.
so at that time I was attending Marygrove College, and that was actually the school that I attended. Um, and I say for me, I never was really into like the whole fraternity and things like that. And so when I met the guys, they presented something different, and I think it was like a workshop or something. A random day, I'm just walking through, the lunchroom, and I came out, and it was a table set up, and it was some guys from the Detroit grad chapter, and they just pretty much just talked to me, explained to me what it is that, Groove was. And, the big emphasis was on family, community, and brotherhood. And so, over the years, I was already intrigued by it. But over the years, they kind of kept in contact with me, would invite me to different events and things like that. And then even come to support events that I had. So I've always kind of stayed connected. After the initial meeting. And so at the time I was just kind of swamped with just trying to finish school. The school that I was at abruptly closed my senior year. So I ended up transferring over to the University of Detroit Mercy, and that's where I, eventually finished my degree. But as I say, right after that, I immediately, got in contact with the fellowmen, and the rest is history.
Absolutely. Sometimes it could be just a normal meeting, finding out about the organization and just uh, meeting people where you are. That basically just sparks the interest and things start to go. So, and definitely, also we've seen some of your work as well, and we definitely appreciate everything that you've done and continue to do as well. And we have nothing but support and love for you for what you do.
Oh,
Yeah, most
absolutely.
definitely. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. I want to get back to job opportunities, because not only have you created a path for yourself to be successful, but you also, and what I really love about it, you're creating a path for others to have work opportunities, uh, relationship opportunities, opportunities to connect with other people. Now, with your service, because it seems like it's pretty expansive over the last 5 years. I mean, you seem like you've grown, so quickly. Uh, Now, I understand that you were telling me the other day that you also transport players from different sporting organizations, whether it's football or basketball or whatever it is. How do you provide so much transportation? Because it seems like to me that there are several different things that you're doing all at one time, and not only in the Detroit area, but different parts of the country.
So yeah, just like I said, like we have different connections with different companies that manage within different areas of the country. So let's say we may have a zone where we have a company out of Chicago. We may have a company that's based solely out of Indiana. We have a company that's based. So it's just really about building those connections and those relationships with these managers, with these owners, and seeing what it is that they're in need of as far as staffing, and just making it happen. We started off renting vehicles, taking multiple vehicles to take individuals to work. And then it slowly, just like I say, it turned into something different. This year we just started providing, bigger transportation. But now we've moved on from, SUVs and vans, and now we have, 12 passenger vans, 15 passenger vans where we can be able to provide more for more people. And so we want to continue that. Like we're trying to continue to grow. Each year that we're operating, we're trying to see how we can do more. And so, when you talk about traveling for work, some of the main things that are definite, you're going to always need, a place to stay. So lodging, one of the things that we're getting off to now is, the Airbnb, purchasing properties where when you go to different cities and different states, we have a part of our network where individuals are purchasing property. And so, that keeps a lot of the money in that network, in our circles. Because as I say, as independent contractors, we issue out a lot of money for lodging, transportation, flight. And these are things that's needed. So why not, level up within our community and be able to provide some of these same resources that we're, issuing out money for.
It sounds like it sounds fascinating to me. Now, how do you organize all this? Because I could tell the way you're speaking that there's a lot that goes into what you're doing. How do you keep it all organized? Do you have a manager, or like you mentioned something about management and things of that nature? Do you have several people that are managing and keeping, just like here on this program? Rock is our program manager, right? She books all of our guests and keep everything flowing for us, right? We couldn't do this program without her. How do you keep everything organized? Is there like a team? You have a management team or that schedules everything, that looks for different opportunities, or how do you go about? How does that happen?
Yes. So we have multiple members that are how can I say this? No, we do have multiple people that contribute as far as finding the specific jobs, doing the research to see if it's worth traveling, across the country for. We have people that I say perform the research. We have people that pretty much manages the whole thing. I do a good majority of it, whether it's having to do with the transportation, whether it's research in the city to see about lodging that's affordable for everybody, whether it's just I say scheduling out events in advance. So we may, make a master schedule for 2-3 months, and we're trying to coordinate with individuals to see who's wanting to go, and it's a team effort. But that's also an area where we could use some more help. Use individuals that have backgrounds in managing, or whether it's transportation, or whether it's we got a lot of travel agents that may be beneficial when it comes to planning out extended stays. That's an area that's always open for improvement. So that's an area that if people are listening, if you got skills in managing, traveling, those are things that are always needed, because just like I say, we're always trying to level up. Each year we're trying to do better than we were last year, or we're trying to do better than we were at the beginning of the year. And so it just takes people that are willing to that's about building, and not just I get it, everybody wants to make money, but we ultimately are looking for people that are trying to build and add to what we already have established and what we're trying to do.
I think it's fascinating. So it sounds like to me that you have, in any given week, you have more than one thing happening at a time. It's like you have several events going on any particular week. Am I correct about that?
Yeah, so every day there's something going on somewhere in the world, So it's just determining, if it's worth, traveling for. If you're staying closer to home, how many venues or opportunities are local. So I say it is a lot of opportunities outside. So we don't want to limit ourselves. We want to give ourselves the best advantage to be able to work as much as possible and to earn as much as possible to, provide for ourselves and our families. So we're trying to grow. We don't want to just, have a few people. We want to have a lot, but at the same time, we have to grow our business, and which means providing more transportation. The more transportation we have, the more workers we can transport to these opportunities. So I say it's all about just growing, and it's something going on every single day.
Okay. And it sounds like you use subcontractors, in other words, that can provide maybe transportation services for you. Am I correct about that?
Yep. So the majority of our workers are independent workers, but we also have opportunities for W-9 or W-2 workers. We have a lot of opportunities, so there's no limit to it. There's, like I say, the biggest thing is being able to connect the people to the opportunity. And the transportation this year has really been a big help, because now we're able to provide more, and that's just what we're trying to build on.
And how do you go about advertising your business? Social media, news outlets, or how do you go about advertising?
So yeah, we utilize social media. I think I'm on Facebook, so I do a lot of promoting when it's time, when we're in the process of hiring or needing workers. We promote it via social media. A good majority of my promotion, is within my family. I'm always trying to, connect family to jobs, and if they got friends, close friends, I got close friends. When we start inward, within our households, I encourage people, get in, see who needs work in your household, bring them along, and that creates a whole, it just when I got my daughters working, now that takes a little stress off of me, because now they're able to go and make their own money, and that's less money I have to give them. It works. I encourage people to get their family involved, their friends, and we just try to bring good people in, and um, as I say, create something that's going to be there, after we're gone, and creating a legacy, and something that our families can be involved in and be proud of.
Absolutely. That's one thing that our culture, our community definitely needs. That's legacy building. Where do you see this company in the next 5 years?
And just like I said, I'm trying to get it where we have, where we're nationwide. Not just traveling from Detroit to these different cities. We want to empower others in these major cities, to where we can have a whole workforce. And that's one of the things I think about. Similar to Groove. We have grooves and swings all over the country, in any and every state. And so just imagine if it was something, before I say that, I'll just say this. So last year we started, we introduced it to some of the grooves here, grooves and swings here in Michigan. And a few members joined, because, we have, incentives to where we're supposed to do community services or fundraising events to raise money for the different chapters. And so we experimented with about, less than a handful of members, and they all made really good money. And, they were able to, immediately impact their household. But just imagine if, we had a whole chapter, coming out and supporting some of these events, and, having money for, their national dues, their chapter dues, or even if it's just to provide work. We could do this in multiple different cities, build this workforce and have groups in all the major cities, and it could be beneficial, and it could be given directly, back into our network. I believe that, that's something that I'm trying to create going forward, is intentionally, um, you know, kind of building from within. We have a lot of, whether it's educators, whether it's lawyers, we have a lot of people in our organization that do so much. And so I want to create a space where we're able to know what it is that people do, and utilize each other. Like, we don't have to always, go outside our organization. Our organization is so big and has so many different people that do so many different things. We can all work within and support each other. So hopefully in 5 years, like, it's just way bigger than what it is now. Like, it has so much potential. It's just really about, if people are needing it or wanting it, speaking up and coming and showing up. And that's all it really is.
Excellent. Dan, do you see yourself having your own fleet of buses? Do you have buses right now that you own, or do you see
Yeah, so
yourself
most
acquiring?
definitely. That's definitely like so I say we branched off into the transportation this year. And so we were able to acquire a 15 passenger van. So we did our first transportation event where we transported workers from Detroit to Iowa and back. And so that was our first, on a bigger scale. But we're trying to build off of that. Like, we want to get more vans, because more opportunities are coming up, and so we want to have more than one, van. We want to be able to maximize the potential, and so as many people that come, we want to be able to take them all over. And just like I say, it doesn't have to necessarily leave from Detroit. If we get people that are interested in different cities, and that might be interested, we can set up something there. And we got, workforces in all over the country individually. So the possibilities are limitless. So
Right.
it's just
Now
about,
you
so I
mentioned
say, leveling up, building together, and not competing.
right. Now I see that like we talk about transportation. What are some of the other services? Can you kind of elaborate on some of the other services that you offer the community?
Well, right now, just like I say, those the staffing portion, whatever it is that the venue requires, whether it's, bartenders, whether it's beer vendors, whether it's concession workers, um, we have anything. When you go into a stadium and whatever's going on, like everything that's going on in there, we offer.
Mm.
So, our thing is just connecting people, to opportunities and building relationships and providing resources. So it's no limit. When you go into a venue, any job that's in there is up for grabs.
Okay, okay. I can understand that. It sounds like some companies that I'm aware of, just like what was it? What was it called? Apple One, or a company, and you just go in at let's say someone were looking for a job, and it could be like a temporary job or whatever it is, and they would go there, and this particular company would set them up with different employers, and they would do a host of different things. Is that similar to what you offer?
Um, most, I guess, in some way, but at the end of the day, this is directly, whatever the need is, we directly connect the people to it. Like, it's no long process for it, other than, filling out the application with us, and it's just showing up. We just want people that's going to show up and do a good service, and just continue to do that and build off of that. Like, it's no hard process that comes along with it. It's just really about showing up and producing.
Absolutely. Robert?
Absolutely. Thank you. I probably will also say now, because we have a couple of people who have chimed in and said that they were looking for opportunities to work with you, or say for some of your activities. How could people get in contact with you to find out and maybe even link up in regards to providing for opportunities, especially it's summer, at the end of summer, getting into the fall season, and maybe some people are looking for work out of school, because for those who are graduating, how can people get in contact with you?
Now I got a question. So the majority, oh no, this is nationwide, right?
Yes.
The audience, okay. So I mean, I'm active on social media. I guess I can leave my links or anything like that. My phone number, email. Just I said the majority of the recruiting that I do is really on social media. And then outside of social media, it's just really word of mouth. But I can leave my information, and yeah, they can just reach out. You know, I think the best form to reach out is probably social media or email. I check those often. Don't really have alerts on. I don't with my phone to receive messages all the time. Sometimes messages get lost, but should I say social media?
Right. Okay. And let's say for instance with social media, something with Instagram. What now they now can
No, so Facebook. So
search on Facebook.
Facebook. Yeah, Facebook, and it's just my name, Darren Napier, and yeah, they can reach out that way as well. That's where a lot of people they either reach out via Facebook, or if they got my number personally, you know, they reach out that way. But I mean, we're always just like I say, this and especially going forward, like you got college football coming up, NFL coming up. Those are like really our biggest, you know, events. And so if we got undergraduates that are in college that might potentially want to work at some of the games, it'll be a good opportunity for them because they're already on campus. And so, you know, why not, you know, make some good money and go to some of these good events. And so, yeah, just like I say, that it's so many possibilities. It's just really about reaching out and just like I say, showing up.
Fantastic, fantastic. Now, I know it's a lot of stuff that you do with all these various different projects. What do you like to do for like recreation, for like fun or anything? Because I understand that you work hard, definitely, but also at the same time probably activities that you like to do just to relieve stress and anything of that nature. Because mental health is important for everybody out there. So, what are you
Most
things that you
definitely.
like to do?
Well, I mean, and that's the good thing about, you know, what I do, because traveling is one of the things that bring me a sense of joy. So being able to travel to these different cities and see different things, that's a part of it for me, and why it's like a natural fit. But outside of that, maybe, you know, I'm doing a lot of strenuous stuff. Maybe massages. I try to get, you know, at least 2 massages a month or something, or you know, get a chance to soak in the hot tub, soak in the pool. That's really it.
Absolutely, absolutely. I probably should do that more often, but mostly because some of the things most of some of the things I do is just everybody just needs a break every once in a while. So
Yeah.
thank you for that advice.
I got a question. How do
Uh,
you go about securing it? Let's say you want to, you're doing something with the Detroit Lions or the Red Wings or the Pistons, whatever it is. How do you go about getting a contract with them and offer them your services? How do you go about doing that?
So just like I say, as independent contractors, we have certain companies, management companies that may be over providing staffing or have the contracts already. So you would kind of, you know, I guess negotiate with them, you know, and just like I say, I've done a good job of building relationships with the owners, people in the front office where, you know, you can see where need is, and you just try to fill that. So over the years, like I've had certain companies that have reached out that may have needed assistance with staffing. So if they, we need 50 people, we need 60 people, are
Mm.
you able to provide that? And so creating this, you know, directory within our community partners and building the list and continuing to build it. And so now when they reach out, we have over 140 workers are part of our network now, and it's growing like every day. So, someone might reach out, like someone reached out to me 2 days ago about an event and needing 40 workers. Someone needed 70 workers, and so as long as we continue to build, our network, the jobs will be there. We just got to continue to, so I say, level up and continue to get more transportation, because the more transportation, the more opportunities for others.
Mm. Now, were you involved in now, did you provide any transportation for the World Cup?
I didn't specifically, but it was a lot of people. They were all over the country. We had a lot of people out in, I think, Los Angeles, all over the country. Yeah, I wasn't necessarily involved in that. I had some other stuff going on. But yeah, it was definitely some opportunity out there for that, because that was for a significant amount of time and people made a lot of really good money. So
Okay,
that's
I
something to
understand.
think about for next year.
Okay. Tiffany?
So it sounds like to me the services that you guys offer, it sounds like to me that you're quite similar to Live Nation. Would that be correct?
Okay, yeah. So similar, because like Live Nation may be the in-house vendor. And like we
Mhm.
have different companies like Levy and Sodexo and Delaware North and um, Aramark. We have these other companies that exist as well, but just I say they only can do so much, and so
Mhm.
a lot of the times, they have subcontractors that come in and provide extra assistance, and so just like I say, by us being independent contractors, it's a different format, but it's definitely an opportunity to maximize the money making potential. So.
Mhm. Awesome. Yeah, that's what when you was talking, that's all I kept thinking about was Live Nation, because you were saying how the different when you go to these events, anything that they in these venues, anything that you see these people doing, that's what you guys do. And so I was thinking about them and like, Ticketmaster and all that stuff. Um I would say my question to you is, what is one particular, I guess, you probably have many, but just off the top, like, is there one particular event or service that you done that always stick out to you that you can just immediately go back and be like, man, like I see why now I'm doing this.
I don't know if it's one specific one, but I remember my first weekend when I first got started. My first event, just like I said, was in Detroit, um, and that was okay. It was like a nice little introduction, but immediately, excuse me, after I left, I got an email with an opportunity to go on the West Coast. Now, I've never been on the West Coast before at this time, and they were paying like I think that like $200 towards my travel if I came out here to work a weekend. And so I'm just like, okay, well, they're gonna pay for my travel, plus they're giving me an advance on the money that I'm gonna make. Or no, at that time they were giving you all your money at the end of the week, at the end of the weekend. So I ended up flying out to like Portland, Oregon. And it's so funny because when I was out there, I got a chance to connect with the grooves out there, man. And everybody was amazing. Like they really, showed up and showed me love while I was out there. But I ended up going over, worked closer to Portland the first day, went over to Seattle, Washington, and worked 2 days. And then I made like $1,400 that for those 3 days. And I was just like, man, you know, I got the ability in one day to make what I make the whole week, at my job. So listen, I was hooked from then. Like I remember being in a hotel room and just saying to like calling my boys, like, yo, man, y'all gotta get out here. Like, get some money out here. And so that's just what I remember, that my first really like my first introduction to it just kind of had me.
Awesome. Um, Thank you for that. My other question is, do you have any advice or like any encouraging words for somebody that is thinking about doing what you're doing, or even if they're not doing what you're doing, but they're thinking about starting something similar to this scale that you're doing? Do you have any encouraging advice to them?
Just like I say, just do it, you know. Like that was one of the things, you know, I had someone that was in my ear and telling me about it. And, you know, at the time I'm just like, you know, I hear it, but I wasn't really, you know, it wasn't until, you know, I wanted what I wanted, and I decided to get up and act on it. And from me getting up and acting on it, you know, it introduced me to a whole nother world. And as I say, each year I've just been seeing and learning the business and learning how it's operated. And then my creativity is just always thinking of the next, what's next. And so not, you know, coming in from the ground up, starting from here and slowly, you know, working your way up, whether it be adding more people to the equation, whether it's now providing staff and whether it's now providing transportation, you know, not just staying focused on, you know, what's in front of you, but actually, you know, expanding it and growing it, because that's the difference between coming and, you know, just making a few dollars. Now I'm thinking about, okay, how do we help others do it? And then how do we grow this into our own business and, you know, provide even more. So it's just continuing to level up, you know, build together, you know, not competing and just, you know, just do it.
Awesome. And I guess one other question I do have, besides your main transportation and services that you're providing for the people right now, is there anything else that we could be looking for or expecting from Mr. Darren in the near future? Is there any upcoming projects or anything else that you are working on that you care to elaborate on?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I want to elaborate too much, but I do have a few things that's in the works that I'm looking to just kind of bring to the forefront. Um, you know, especially within Groove as well. Like I'm looking to kind of create some spaces for you know, more deeper connections. Um, you know, we have undergraduates, we have graduate members. You know, a lot of the focus that we have is, and rightfully so, is, you know, building off of our, you know, undergraduate programs, but also understanding that, you know, we have a lot of people that come in through our graduate program and that are, you know, might not necessarily be um, you know, kind of engaged in like everything that comes with the undergraduate experience. You have people that come in as graduates that, you know, are fathers, are, you know, parents, entrepreneurs. So one of the things that I want to see within Groove and Swing is, you know, how do we identify these people and how do we work together and support each other and just, you know, embrace the you know, in-house, you know, when we do different events, whether it's convention, whether it's, you know, the partnerships that we decide to, you know, partner with people. Like I want us to kind of look within our own organization, because we got so many different people in different professions. And so one of the things that I've been working on is creating a directory where we can know who does what, and create more spaces where we're able to put them on display, and so that the whole organization, the whole nation can utilize that.
Mhm.
That's awesome. That's something I think, they say great minds think alike. That's something that I had mentioned to our regional, not just our regional director, excuse me. There was a form that had went out on Swing Side, and that was something that I had suggested as well, that we create a directory for whatever segment. Like if there's a bunch of educators within Groove and Swing, list them. If there's a bunch of different artists, or, what I'm saying, list them so forth and so on. That way, it'll be an easier way to be like, oh, okay, I could go right here to the directory and look up who's doing what or who's involved in what, or who has expertise in what whatever field that they're looking for. So I think that's a great idea, man. I really hope that that comes to fruition, and so that we can continue to grow and continue to learn about one another. I appreciate you for that.
And you know what you guys just did. You described what this program is all about. And Tiffany and Robert, you guys remember, and Rock especially, our whole objective was to connect the dots with grooves and swings around the world, because we are a global radio network, and we have people such as yourself, entrepreneurs such as you, Darren, people that's in the medical profession, whether it's mental health or whatever it is, lawyers, doctors, teachers, you name it, from A to Z. And the whole idea is that we want everybody to know let the left hand know what the right hand is doing. And that's the objective of this radio station. Like I said, we've had artists on. We've had practically anybody and everybody from any walk of life on this program. And like Robert mentioned before, this is episode 130. And we've had some magnificent historians, we've had them on. And like I said, again, I can't thank Rock enough because she's the glue to keep this program together. She's the one that booked you. And you mentioned something about creativity, and your creative spirit. And that's because you were born on March the 8th. You know that, right? I had to throw that in. Robert, oh my God, we out of time. Unbelievable.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
I can't believe it. Darren, you've got about 1 minute, 60 seconds. Tell the audience anything that we forgot to ask, anything you want to share with us. Can you do that in about 60 seconds for us?
60 seconds. I don't know if I forgot anything, but I guess I'll just close with my closing thought, and that's just, my mission has never been just about, just to connect people. My mission is to connect people to opportunities. And sometimes that's, employment. Sometimes it's transportation. Sometimes it's business. Sometimes it's mentorship. But at the end of the day, I want to build bridges that help people get to where they're trying to go. I believe in turning relationships into resources, resources into opportunities, and opportunities into generational impact.
I love it. Man, thank you so much. We will stay in touch. Tiffany, Robert, thank you guys. Great job, guys. Darren, it's a pleasure meeting you, and we will stay in touch, guys. And I want you to come,
my pleasure. Thank you guys for having me.
My pleasure. Everybody, come back in about 13 minutes because it's time for the Soul Cafe right here on Studio W The Buzz. If you love great music, especially music from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, our Tuesday night show at the Soul Cafe, that's what's up with that, guys. Kick back, grab a glass, and enjoy. And thank you so much for tuning in to episode 130 of Groove Swing Speaks. Enjoy your evening.
Mhm.